if you like to play endless game, which is SEO, if you like to do research, learn new things, work in a niche where you're not going to get bored in any way, shape, manner, or form, because everything is constantly changing. SEO is definitely your spot. From my point of view, very fun, because again, it's a puzzle that is constantly changing, and you cannot finish it, and you have to keep playing.
Hello everyone, welcome to another great SEO interview, and this is actually the first of its type. So in my YouTube channel, usually I share lots of blue hat SEO case studies, or maybe sometimes holistic SEO case studies or other stuff. But I just decided to start a kind of success playlist. So Luis Salazar Jurado is, I believe, the most successful holistic SEO community member, because he is the one who shared the first case studies besides me, and the first results, first successes, and repeatedly, not just one time. So it also happened to me when in my first case study, I published 4 websites because I knew that they would say it's luck. But when you publish 4, they can't say luck anymore. So Luis also did it like multiple times by implementing our framework, Koray's framework, or Koray needs, however you call it, based on semantics and topical authority. And at the same time, he trained and helped many people in our community as well, without expecting anything in return. So he's a very willing to help. And after this interview, you can just actually reach out to him and ask questions about overall SEO too. He will be, I am sure, happy. He's from Malacca in Spain, very expensive place. Before going there, just be sure that you have enough money. And with that said, let's start. Luis, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Luis Salazar Jurado. So basically, I'm an SEO consultant who, let's say, discovered or found out about semantic SEO around 3.5 years ago. A random video in the right sidebar in YouTube. And there was a guy that claimed that he was going to launch a course in semantic SEO. And I just went down that rabbit hole and started reading about semantic SEO and watching videos and so on and so forth. And after 3.5 years, here we are doing this podcast.
Yeah, the life is very interesting. You know, like a person from Spain, a person from Turkey, then life brings them together, actually. It's a very interesting thing to me. At the same time, it's interesting that it happened actually by luck too. Pavel also said the same thing. He just saw it on YouTube or something. And now we are also with him as well. So it's an interesting thing. And when you saw the course or announcement or the videos, how did you decide to actually go for it? Many people actually, at the beginning, they are skeptical a little bit. How is it for you?
Well, in fact, it was the real kicker, the real video that changed my point of view was the testimonial you have with Pavel. And it was a key sentence I'll never forget is, when you don't understand a concept about the framework, don't move forward, just stop and go back and connect the dots between the terms you don't understand. And it's a testimonial. You are in a cafeteria in Istanbul. I remember in Istanbul. The thing is that it was the first testimonial where Pavel shared how to connect the concepts and then how to move forward. And meeting Pavel, let's say a year later, he shared with me all the notes and all the graphs and connection he has about the framework itself. And it was very useful. That was the real, let's say, moment that, let's say, trigger my mind in order to focus heavily on semantic SEO.
Happy to know that. I mean, yeah, the Pavel is one of the people who make really deep researches. He created even a Figma. I didn't share it yet with the community, to be honest, but like 2 years ago, he created literally a kind of, I mean, I even didn't know that I have written so much stuff. When I saw that Figma, I was like, okay, even my employees didn't do that. So thanks for it. And I'm glad that actually you mentioned him, and he is also part of this relationship with us. So it's also good too. And another thing is, you got really good results in these last 3 years, and you regularly share them actually on the LinkedIn as well. And when you actually implement these things, do you think that sometimes clients get skeptical, or do they know that actually they should be waiting for something, or do they provide enough resources for you? How do you handle their, let's say, writing resources, design resources, development resources? How do you implement this methodology for your own business?
Well, it took me a while to communicate effectively the value of semantic SEO, and also it took like 2 to 3 years to get great result in a client. My second oldest client is an insurance company in Madrid, and after working with them 5 years, and I have a case study about this company, and I shared with them 5 years later the evolution about keywords in top 3, and it was amazing. They didn't know, but indirectly, I was training the copywriters in semantic SEO. Yeah. So they got convinced when they, let's say, saw the results they were implemented. So basically what I did was train the 2 copywriters, make them, let's say, trust themselves in the testing and in the proposals. So nowadays, when I work with them, I only give them the general idea and they do the rest. So now they really trust in the system, and when they see the result, they can also go to their management and present new ideas and concept and why we're doing what we're doing.
It's so good for them, the person.
No.
The person is actually Ramanathan V. Guha, and he is the person also behind programmable search engine technology. And
Yes, so what I do is usually I create a short video, sharing with them the benefits of implementing semantic SEO optimizations and how they can do it, but I don't give them direct orders. What I do is, hey guys, here's where we are, here's where we can be, here's the chance we're ranking for, and here is an opportunity. And then I say to them, I trust your ability in copywriting. Strictly from an SEO point of view, I would do this, but I'm pretty sure that you can find the right balance between where we are now and where you want to be. Let's say, just changing. I've got results just changing word. So in insurance, there is a difference between provisional insurance, which is insurance for days, or insurance for months. So grammatically, it might sound the same, but it's not the same. So it's not the same insurance for 3 months or for 6 months or for more than 9 months. The conditions and the terms are different.
Yeah.
And people search differently. For instance, this brand is heavily focused on cheap insurance, but cheap in English could have negative connotations. But you can use different terms such as more economic, more affordable, but people search low-cost insurance, which means when we spot the opportunity that we were ranking for low-cost insurance and we didn't even have the word low cost in our landing pages, I communicate with them, hey guys, your segment of the market is cheap insurance, but you can write it in a different way. So I give to them the options. I share with them the potential optimization, what we can gain from that optimization, and they implement it themselves. So there is a communication, not let's say, you have to do this.
So basically, you implemented a different communication strategy, and also you gamed this process a little bit for them. So basically, even if they don't do it, or even if they fail to do it, it's not like a failure. It's like just they try something, they learn it, and they play with the page. So you made it in a fun way. I mean, it's a better communication style than just saying, do that, it will work. I agree with you. And because I know that many SEOs who try to implement semantic SEO, they just have some different type of fights with journalists by saying that, no, you can't write it in that way. And the journalist says that, I am doing this 20 years. What do you know about news? And then the SEO tries to explain search engines. It becomes very negative on that point. But your style here is way better, actually. And I believe it's a natural skill, too. I mean, it's not just about being able to understand semantics or what we do. It's also about being able to explain this and organize people, motivate people, and create a path for them. So it's a great method. I also want to ask you, how did you start actual digital marketing? How old are you? And why did you decide on SEO, for instance? Because this interview, I want it to be also about directly you, not just about semantics or SEO as well.
Well, a little bit of background is I was a developer for 8 years, and then I found out about SEO. And a guy I worked with 10 years ago say, "Hey, Luis, you kind of ditch digger, or you keep digging until you find the key essence of the things. Why don't you try SEO?" At that moment, I started in technical SEO, and I jumped from developer to technical SEO. And after a year just doing technical SEO audits, I get a little bit bored, and I realized everything was interconnected. And then I started learning a little bit about marketing, link building, and so on and so forth. I've been focused heavily on semantic SEO the last 3 years and a half, and I've combined the technical SEO knowledge with semantic SEO with the holistic SEO approach you share, because every input from social media, press release, and so on and so forth help the overall value of
Every
the
vertical of SEO, basically, yeah.
In fact, my oldest clients, I've been working with them 7 years. This company was bought in summer 2021. And guess what? Brand terms have decreased very smoothly since then because the management changed. And now they have realized the SEO is, decreasing. And there's a big brand here in Spain that is investing like crazy in brand terms. And, they're not very happy. But again, data is data. Now I have to convince them that they have to invest in brand and encourage people to search brand plus the service they're providing in order to, enhance it. So again, everything is interconnected, holistic view.
Yeah.
And it's a fun game because it's a never-ending game. You learn every day. Very interesting game that is coming, especially also with AI and all the.
The funny thing is that actually we were talking about the brand search demand, like since 2020. We were always saying that actually your brand should be searchable. If there is no branded search terms about you, basically you are expandable according to search engine. And people started to focus on that actually just after the helpful content update. And sometimes it just makes me slightly sad. I mean, do you have to just lose your website to actually understand what holistic SEO is? I mean, it's like I just sometimes find similarities between the relationship between a doctor and a patient, an SEO consultant and the website or the business owner. Because people usually listen to the doctor when they are sick. When they are sick, they just go to doctor, they do whatever doctor says. When they are okay again, they do the opposite of what doctor says. And same also happens for businesses too. I mean, they just, even if they see a little bit traffic increase, they say that, okay, we don't need SEO anymore. Or they just start care about SEO when they lose, but not while they are winning. And I guess it's the kind of mindset disease, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, it's a very interesting point. And in fact, just here in February, I started working with a company in Berlin that the guy who is now in charge of product, the product manager, did SEO 3 years ago. So over the last 2 years, they haven't worked SEO, but they let's say, they keep improving the brand. So brand terms, heavy traffic, but the overall traffic decreases. And they're in a negative ranking state because the brand was,
Before we continue, some people are very new here. What do you mean with a negative ranking state? Would you like to explain it to them?
Negative ranking state means that the organic traffic in your site is decreasing very smoothly and over a long period of time. And that's let's say, the definition of negative ranking state. So in order to
reverse it,
you have to do something different that you have done until now. So this brand, again, no problem about people searching their brands or the brand combined with a product or service, but the overall site hasn't been improved, or they didn't do any SEO optimization the last 3 years. And of course, they are losing traffic. So going back to what you mentioned, the patient-doctor relationship is, okay, it took 3 years to, let's say, realize that we are losing traffic. And now they have to invest again in order to get that traffic back.
And may I ask you, what was your hardest situation in SEO while implementing our framework? Like, let's say, waiting for core updates maybe, or maybe you had a really different competitor. For the people who watch, by the way, this is completely improvising. No questions actually have been asked earlier, so everything is naturally being asked. And any, let's say, obstacle, but serious obstacle, what do you remember as an example?
Well, it wasn't I created my own case study in order to explain to myself the most difficult part, because when I started reading, I got confused because you don't know where to begin. The problem most humans have. I decided to stop focusing on one, let's say, vertical about the framework. So what I did was I focused on ranking, and I reread several times the article you have about ranking, specifically about ranking. And when I understood that, combine that with what I previously mentioned, the concept that Pavel Klimakov shared, don't move forward until you understand all the concepts and you connect all the concepts. So when I explained to myself that, and I understood that connection of concept, then I moved forward. But because you have to define a beginning or somewhere where you're going to begin to learn the framework, because if not, it's impossible. There is so much information, so many case studies, so many videos and resources, interviews, that you have to start somewhere. That was the most difficult point. And then you start the snowball rolling, and eventually, after 3 years plus, now I feel, let's say, a little bit confident about the framework, because now I'm seeing the results. And let's say, you feel like I don't get the whole framework because it's only you can have the whole framework. But let's say a considerable percentage of the framework I understand.
I mean, one time I believe Dale Hewitt from our also core community actually said that this is actually going in your brain and trying to see how your neurons are connected. That's why only you can actually see it in that way. And unfortunately, maybe it is in a way true. But I believe you are creating really great results for a really long time, Luis. I mean, you shared maybe over, 20 results until now. I believe you are, let's say, you already presented more success than 99% of the SEO influencers, the people who are on the stage or people who are taking attention on Twitter. I never see any result from them, to be honest. And that's the reason that I usually don't like SEO influencers, because they talk about SEO, but they don't do SEO. So if you don't rank websites, what's the point of talking about ranking the websites all the time? So I believe you are one of the best examples or one of the best consultants in this area right now. And when it comes to let's say, when you go to these, let's say, SEO conferences or different areas, do you see other people who also work on our methodology, or do you help them as well? Or do you usually see skepticism or criticism? I'm asking this objectively because I usually go on the stage and do the talk, but I don't see what let's say, people talk actually. What do you think?
Well, in fact, last year in Chiang Mai, we hung out, some members of the SEO community. Suresh created an event, and we went there to share concept, we share case studies, we share results. And not everybody get the concept. At the beginning, there's a kind of, let's say, they're not going to adopt a new system after, let's say, decades of SEO, let's say, media, brainwashing your brain or brainwashing you. But again, step by step, people get the concept, start talking about it, share case studies. And I do believe that in the coming years, more and more people are going to be talking about semantic SEO.
I believe so too. I mean, when you look at all these large language models, AI overviews, or other search engines like Perplexity or Microsoft Bing Copilot and all of them, they're all right now, I mean, coming to do what we are doing for a really long time. Do you know, like Stephen the Baker, the person who actually patented the candidate answer passage scoring? He patented it. He invented it. He is the person who created actually featured snippets. Right now, he is working on actually AI overview. And I can tell when I created the framework, his patents were at the center of most of the stuff. So that's the reason actually people who implement our methods and your methods right now too, they will be already ready for AI overviews or LLM search basically as well. And what do you think about the future of the SEO, by the way? Like, do you think that actually due to this AI for doing SEO or for getting visibility, how do you think that actually our community and also overall SEO industry will be affected?
Well, I do believe that after more than 20 years with just the SEO industry focus on content and links, now is the first, let's say, game changer event in the industry. And I do believe that in the foreseeable future, there is no question that you're going to be influenced by AI and LLMs. And that's why in a huge percentage, I'm focused on semantic SEO because we are semantic creatures, and all the information on the internet, you can transcribe it to text, which is which is the cheapest way to digest that data. Image to text, video to text, audio to text, and then process that data. So if at the end of the day, an LLM is going to process the text, the semantics, why now focus on semantics, which is...
Yeah, you also said we're a great thing actually. We are semantic creatures. I mean, it's like doing SEO in a semantic way for semantic creatures on a semantic search engine. It makes, I mean, definitely it makes sense. And do you think that actually being a developer helps for understanding overall search engines or information retrieval? Because I know that you also have read all of these academic books that we also mentioned or suggested earlier.
I think that in terms of understanding abstract concepts, yes, is a big benefit. But let's say, like you mentioned also in previous interview, a sociologist or a psychologist or someone that understands human nature in his essence, it's also going to have an advantage. So again, the transition I did was developer, SEO, and then semantics, which means I've seen the whole ecosystem. That's why I'm pivoting or I'm adjusting to what I do believe is coming, which is more LLMs, AI, and semantics. Because in my opinion, everybody can buy links and everybody can create content. But besides that, two components or two variables of the game, what else are you going to do? For instance, I'm very heavy on JSON LT and structured data because for years I listened to Bill and Bogu's Hangout. In that Hangout, there is a Canadian guy that said more or less this, which is, if everything is going to be in the future machine learning understandable or machine learning digestion of data, JSON LT is linked data. So you provide to an algorithm the information in the cheapest way to digest it, which is JSON LT, even cheapest that HTML, because you don't have to parse the whole page.
Anything,
you don't have to render, and you don't have to parse HTML. But come to your page, get the JSON LT, and leave. Almost no memory budget consumed. That's why I was very focused on structured data. And on top of that, let's say this is one extra point or one extra value. And the second thing is also most SEO I've seen do not use JSON LT properly, which means they just copy and paste the JSON LT from the template, but they don't interlink the JSONs properly. So at the end of the day, it's like JSONs individually in that page, but they're not interconnected, which means from my point of view, they don't get the whole value of the JSON LD.
Because they don't connect, or they don't integrate, or they don't create a hierarchy between them, which means that actually if the search engine gets even these JSON LDs from different pages, still there is an extra work there for connecting and creating hierarchy, checking their consistency with each other, and they might not be able to create it. We also see that from their knowledge graph. I mean, for the same person, you can find like 6 different entity registrations. Even if they are the same person, the search engine just perceives them like they are different, despite they are not. So that creation of the information graph actually is a costly process, I can tell. Once actually I was talking to the Fabrice Chanel from France, from Microsoft Bing. He was also saying that actually due to these conflicts in the knowledge graph and the cost, because of the cost of it, they were preferring the answers from just web pages, even if they are not in the knowledge graph, because he was saying it was costly. And that's the reason that also the name of the featured snippets in Google, because they have different names than ours, and they call it web answers. Most of the featured snippets actually are not registered into the knowledge graph, and most of them are not checked in terms of whether it is aligning with their knowledge base or not. These things are really, really costly. Speaking of the cost, you also believe and think that essence of our framework, Koray's framework or topical authority, is coming from actually cost, technically. Would you like to explain that part? Many people actually miss that, the most important thing in the framework.
Yeah, so again, maybe because I come up from my technical background, cost is everything at all levels in all fronts, which means in semantics, in JavaScript, CSS, HTML, image size, everything. So cost of retrieval exclusively in semantics is how complex it is to understand that text for an algorithm, not necessarily the amount of words on their own. I mean, if you can, let's say, more text is not going to give you more value if the content is not properly structured and understandable for a machine. But on top of that, again, going back to the JSON LD, JSON LD is the fastest, let's say, less cost, the cheapest, fastest way to a machine to understand what your site is about. So in terms of cost of retrieval, you can optimize your site at all levels: JSON LD, HTML, image sites, CSS sites, JavaScript requests, HTTP requests, server response time. I mean, you can dissect the cost of retrieval concept and dissect it to the bones, and you can, let's say, improve like 20, 50, 100 variables. It's a big universe of optimization just in that concept, cost of retrieval, not focusing on other concepts about the framework. So when there is a quote somewhere in one of your case studies, which is every pixel, every letter, and every byte counts, something like that. And when I mean, this quote sum up everything. So that's the sense.
Technically, I always think that actually, I also called this in Chiang Mai stage too. Technically, what we do is we take your website into data, and data what the algorithm actually process. And technically, what you do with the JSON LD is the same. You just take your basically web page and turn it into the JSON LD as a data format to give it to the algorithm so they can actually process that. And speaking of actually that pixel part, because we understand letter part, it is for the text, and let's say the byte section is a little bit for technical cost along with also text cost too. Also affects the relevance of the semantic units that you are creating on the page. How do you optimize your layout, for instance, for higher relevance or responsiveness?
Well, when I have the opportunity to influence the designs, I structure in, let's say, in a descended order where you're going to put the more important entity attribute value in the whole page, like main content, supplementary content, which means...
Sorry, again, some people don't know what do you mean with main content or supplementary content. Let's define them first, then we can continue.
Okay, let's say you have a web page. The main content is going to be the initial part of your page, or where the key information is going to be located. Supplementary content usually is closer to the footer, which is where the least important information is going to be located, or let's say is in the section where you're going to connect concept with other pages, etc. So once you have defined your, let's say, the structure of the page, you kind of start with the centerpiece annotation, which is, if I remember correctly, the first 400 characters of the page, or it could be measured also in pixel or characters. And then they're going to assess the quality of the page itself just in those initial 400 characters. And from there, they're going to move on if you, let's say, pass the mark of quality, and then they can spend more time in your landing page in order to, let's say, more trust about the content you have created. So coming back to the layout is very important in terms of, first, how you're going to structure the page itself. Where are you going to put the information in each section, let's say, either main content or supplementary content. And then it's a mix between CSS, HTML, DOM, let's say, the ability of the developer combined with the designer to make it as light as possible, which means the least number of lines of code. The design have to be easy to understand for the user, which means great user experience. And then avoid mega menu as much as possible, because a bot is going to spend so much time there. And if you do not structure the page properly, you're going to confuse the search engine itself. So layout optimization in my side is very important. And what I do is to minimize as much as possible the structure of the page in order to make it easier for the search engine to understand what the specific thing we're going to accomplish in this page.
Happy to know that. And if the layout affects the relevance, and if you already optimize the layout for providing higher relevance and the responsiveness, you also determine the type of the, let's say, component. Because when it comes to the layout, I'll say actually three things. Let's say component size, component order, and component placement. Do you compare like how many components you have and the competitor have, or let's say whether you put calculator first and calculator later, or let's say it is a booking website, for instance. Do you try to put more drop downs, more checkboxes, or more, I don't know, sticky navigation for booking for different countries or localities? How do you try to create this, let's say, difference between yourself and your competitors in terms of layout and functionality, may I ask?
Well, let me share if I can.
One more thing, every question here is just improvising, so I'm just asking it right now. It's not like the interviews that you see in other channels.
Okay, so I'm going to share with you, going back to the question you asked. Do you see the screen?
Yeah. This is a good result, by the way.
Okay, so this is going back to your question. We started ranking this page when we, let's say, test and redesign the above the fold section of the page. So magic number 10,000 impressions, which is around here. When you overcome that threshold,
10,000 impression. Why do we watch for it? For instance, people might also understand that.
Well, for what I've seen, when I saw your case study, when you recommend get to 10,000 impressions as fast as possible, for my opinion, is 10,000 impression is like critical mass when the search engine is going to trust you enough in order to give you more traffic. So when you get that, let's say, threshold, you can see over the last 16 months that we didn't lose traffic, because it's a kind of confidence that the search engine is going to put on you. So in this landing page, we started testing around this section where we all had like 30 clicks a day. And now you've seen the jump from between 600 and 800 clicks a day. Just testing both in the layout optimization, semantics, on-page SEO optimization, and so on and so forth. And what we did is I connect the dots after research, which is, this is a thing, it took me a while to digest, which is Google has been telling us for decades, focus on the user. And we thought they were lying to us. But it wasn't until I understood what the user really, really, really wanted that I could redesign the page and provide the information they were looking for. In fact, we are getting traffic in this landing page for terms we don't even have in the copy, which is kind of contradictory to the knowledge we've got in SEO over the last decades, which is you have to put a keyword in the page and you have to create links and so on and so forth. So can I do a real light test? Okay. So in this landing page, you see here is in Spanish is a tractor.
Yes.
How old is my car license number tractor?
Okay.
But if we go to the page, the word tractor is not even there. So let me go to the code and look tractor. You see the word tractor is not there. But going back to the queries, how old is my tractor car license number? And we have over 1,000 clicks. Why is that? Because Google associate that in this interface, what you want is an interface to understand how old is your vehicle, not necessarily your car. It could be your car, your motorbike, your tractor,
That's the relations, basically.
your van. So all the historical data, which means all the signals that this landing page has been created for, let's say, 2 years, made, let's say, or now the algorithms have enough information to understand that it doesn't matter the kind of vehicle you have, as long as you type here a car license number plate, they're going to give you the feedback because there is a connection with the API, with the government, so they can answer you.
Yes.
Like, let's say, I introduce this car license number plate, and they give me how old is the car. But you can provide here any car license name you want about any vehicle. So this is a very fun game because now you don't necessarily have the keyword in the page in order to run for it.
This is also something that we call actually a little bit micro semantics, content configuration or relevance configuration. So it's also a great example too. I mean, traditional SEO just tries to stuff every keyword with every type of anchor text, and they're spending time for nothing there too. Even other day, I was checking actually a patent from Amit Singhal. It's called Improving Queries by Semantic Information. It was trying to explain it actually based on the conceptual connections between the queries. They can actually expand the query context. And they do it usually by creating a kind of query concept vector. So in this case, if a tractor in the queries and the vehicle in the queries, if there is enough level of, let's say enough level of closeness between them in the queries, they will be clustered together and they will create actually the same query network. For the same query network, we open basically a single page. So basically it is about lexical semantics too, which is a very good example. If you want also, you can show your other, maybe some case studies too. I believe people would like to see this interactive engagement even more. Would you like to? If it is not protected by NDA.
No problem. So this content is the one I wrote like years ago about how I started, how I began implementing Koray's framework.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned previously, I focus on just one vertical, which is ranking and re-ranking. And here I share concepts. At the end of the content, we're going to see the structure of the page. So basically, we took let's say a father content, and we realized people searching for female and male about the original content. So we created 2 landing pages, one for male, one for female. The male didn't work, which is this page you are seeing now. And this is the female. It is about pets. Again, let's say technicalities about patents and so on and so forth. But let's go to the layout, which I shared here, this is the overall structure of the overall analysis of the page, which is I'm going to check what the competitors are doing. And I'm going to do something different, which is in terms of images, competitors have several or dozens of images. We just have one image. In video, competitors have a video. I'm going to create a video. In terms of headings, most of them have a lot of headings. I'm going to just create 2. Table. None of them have tables. I'm going to create tables. Structured data. Competitors have no JSON-LD. I'm going to create JSON-LD. And most contents have thousands of words. We only have 200. And here is the layout, which is heading H1, image, paragraph, video. Basically, what I tested was I'm going to create a content that have all the checkbox, has video, has image, has table, has bullet points, have paragraphs, and so on and so forth. We're going to cover in one landing page all the checks, and this is the evolution.
It's great, actually, yeah.
here the evolution of the sites and how we got feature snippets. Yeah.
Really good. And in terms of the layout, you also proved that actually. In one of my case studies, I was putting a title tag. And the title tag there was more text doesn't mean better context. Basically, you have actually ranked better with shorter amount of words. You didn't write long. You just added more structured content there. One more thing is, in the patents, maybe as you remember, there were two different scores. One is prose type of content score. The other one is the structured content score. When you use a table and also a paragraph structure, basically you are actually evaluated for both of them, which is increasing your overall score. One more time. So it is also one of the advantages in that area. And this is, I guess, the interview that you mentioned earlier with Pavel, basically. It's really good. In this case, that I believe there is a really huge value there for like the layout. Can you also show some more sections, because it might be helpful maybe for relevance configuration?
Do you mean I go back to the
higher ground, because there were some relevance configuration sections, as much as I can see in that area. This is the structure I understand.
Yeah.
You also use supplementary content with a sign there. Could you go even above? Yes.
Here is but the H1 image. So again, I check
image, for example. I'm just asking. But the reason for that is, again, the cost or quality?
No, it's like the overall theory about this content is I'm gonna check all the boxes in terms of video, image, paragraph, listings, table, but I'm not going to, let's say, overfeed the data. Again, going back to the analysis, most sites use several or dozens of images. I'm gonna just use one.
From Google's point of view, when you use actually one representative main image, it is also better for them, because they also want to index just one. They don't want to index every image in that area. And if you have a bigger resolution with just one image, also, if you're able to create the context on that with text or with objects, that's also better as well. Do you use any logo or text on the image?
Well, I optimize the image with attribute caption and also in the JSON LD.
Okay. When you implement the JSON LD, do you just follow the Google's own structured data format, or do you also go for schema.org and you find new stuff that Google doesn't mention?
Yes, it's like I previously mentioned, is I do not only go to the schema standard and get the template. I interconnect the JSONs. So I create a kind of mini graph.
Yeah.
In each landing page.
Okay. And the main thing there is, then you also say that actually, even if the Google's own documentation doesn't mention some schema properties, basically they are also using them for understanding the content, and they give basically just the basics in their documentation. And this might be a bit of an interesting question, but do you know actually who created this structured data adventure in Google for them? The person?
No.
The person is actually Ramanathan V. Guha, and he is the person also behind programmable search engine technology. And he is also very close with, again, Stephen D. Baker or Srinivasan Venkatakari, Amit Singhal as well. He is one of the fundamental people in Google. And he actually has really good speeches on YouTube. I suggest everyone to watch them, because he's an academician. And he created schema.org while he was in Google. And he was working in Google and also schema.org as a separate project. So whatever he does actually in schema.org, it is also always connected with a fire hose, basically, to Google too. I just wanted to give this extra info because I was doing an extensive research about him too. Basically, all these case studies, all this community came from stalking actually engineers. I can tell. And about your second article there, I believe there are examples here too. Examples here too.
In order to connect, first I create a memory here that January 2022, my first email to you.
Let me just actually look at it a little bit. Let me.
3 years ago.
The Bill's name is also there too. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I remember these years. It was easier, and you use also the term the query score threshold and re-ranking with the augmentation of queries.
Query augmentation, yeah.
Nice memory.
So in order to finish the schema part, basically I structured this content talking about a schema at the end. Let's jump to the schema. I believe wholeheartedly about the schema because this is an e-commerce in real estate where we implemented the schema product for real estate 2 years ago, and it took us more than a year for Google to trust us. You can see the evolution.
Suddenly.
Yeah, it took us more than a year, which means I do believe that Google is testing you constantly. And when you have the trust, they give you an insane amount of traffic.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they get you a candidate source and then they just give you some small tests and with a core update. Probably there is a core update there too, I assume, or a major update or something like that. And they just change sources with each other. It's a really good result as well. And the impression changes are also seems very impressive. And also you use the concepts like micro semantics. Could you like to explain how did you implement it with also statistical semantics too?
Basically, in this article, I get the holistic SEO approach and I share case studies in microsemantics, statistical linguistic and distributional semantics, semantic content network, and schema. So this is the brand I mentioned at the beginning. After 5 years working, we increased from less than 250 keywords in top 3 to over 800 in insurance. The video about the holistic SEO approach, highly recommended. Microsemantics is the case we have seen previously in the video where I've shared already the landing page and the approach and everything else. In statistical linguistic and distributional semantics, going back to the terms, barato means cheap in Spanish, how we improve systematically and steadily the overall site and how over the last 16 months we have increased like 5x traffic just in with distributional, with the statistical linguistic and distributional semantics, just focusing on fine-tuning the landing pages around cheap and around online. This is in insurance, how we grew from 4 clicks a day to over 20 clicks a day. And again, it's like the client have to trust you, the copywriter have to trust you, they have to implement the things steadily. And as you can see, it took us a while, but now when they see this, they value the work. They understand that it takes time. And of course, it's not like a fast and easy thing. And in order to combine all those concepts together, the semantic content network, this is the evolution of one project I've worked over the last 2 years.
Wow.
We started from nothing, and we hopefully, after 2 years of work, they give us the traffic in the November core update.
Great result, brother. Really great. I mean, it's like 3 times more.
Double from 50K to 30K, more or less.
Really good.
So again, impressions is the leading indicator. After the impression come the clicks. As long as the impression keep increasing, and then come. I mean, there is a direct correlation here. It's like if you overlap both the impression and the clicks is close match, more or less.
It's really, really great result. I mean, it's very impressive, Luis. I would like to say that. I mean, it's not easy to show that patience, and I believe consistent work too. I believe it's also about your character too. You are a very calm person, and very calm and very patient. I believe your personality also matches with this too. I believe you will make really good money in stock market too. That's just an opinion or suggestion. Maybe you don't get to do it. I'm just saying. But your personality looks perfect for this area and this methodology. These are great results. And if you would like to actually suggest something for let's say the new SEOs who try to learn actually semantics and overall our topical authority methodology, what would you like to suggest them, like let's say 3 suggestions?
First suggestion, be patient. Have you seen in the video, my first email to Koray to you was 3 years ago, and I started working like 6 months previous to that. Second of all is be open to new concepts and ideas, which means anybody can do content and links. And third is going back to my real, I'm gonna thank Pavel furthermore, is follow Pavel Klimakov's advice. When you start whatever you want or the place you feel comfortable, but do not move forward until you understand all the concept. Connect the dots, which means understand it, tested it, or at least try to, I don't know, make an implementation in the client, even though you're not 100% sure. Not in the homepage, but in a, let's say, not that important page. And then you can see real life how things works. I guess my clients do not listen to this, but I've tested it live with my clients, these kind of concepts, micro semantics, everything. Of course, I'm not a risk, as you have seen, I'm not a risk averse person, but I tested it. And how are you going to know if it's going to work or not? If you have your own project or your own sites to test, fantastic. But my approach is, I'm going to test it. I'm not going to risk their client in any way, shape, or form. And if it works, we can, let's say, spread, or we can replicate. That would be my third one. To sum up, patient. Second, get open to new ideas and combine ideas. And third, test, practice, and share also, because best ideas I've got has been for other guys in the community.
I believe you also are launching actually a newsletter. Am I right? For Semantics?
Yes, I'm gonna launch a daily Semantic SEO newsletter. Daily, yeah. So in order to, let's say, help people get the ideas out of my head in the simplest way possible, not to overcomplicate things. I'm going to do it minimalistically and concept by concept, like cost of retrieval, all the kind of stuff, source context, and so on and so forth.
It's great to hear that. And if I want to subscribe to this newsletter, how can I do that?
Well, we're going to provide the link below in the description. Okay. I'm very happy if people that see this.
You are also joining some of the cohort meetings to help people, am I right? For inside the community. Do I remember correct?
Yeah, I'm in several cohorts. We have very active WhatsApp group. Also people in the community, in the Facebook, they are asking, sharing case studies, successes, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's great. The cohorts are basically just a circle learning environment. If you don't want to study by alone, you just join a cohort, you meet weekly, you ask questions, answer questions, and do progress all together. And Luis is helping many people there as well. And Luis, if anyone wants to actually be your, let's say, client or your mentee, your student, or just ask questions to you or buy you a beer or coffee without coming to Malacca if possible, how they can do that?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn. They can search Luis Salazar Jurado, can find my profile and reach me out. And also they can find it on my website, which is seotecnico.com.
You will write them also to the video as well?
Yes. And from there, you can connect.
I have to know that. I believe, actually, we will be doing these type of interviews more also with you too, because as I said, this will be like a success series. And it's also meaningful for me to have you for the first one, because you are the most successful among many of them. So starting with the most successful person for the success series, it actually makes sense. And before the ending, would you like to say anything for our, let's say, audience in the last words?
Well, if you like to play endless game, which is SEO itself, if you like to do research, learn new things, let's say work in a niche where you're not going to get bored in any way, shape, manner, or form, because everything is constantly changing. SEO is definitely your spot. Is, from my point of view, very fun because, again, it's a puzzle that is constantly changing, and you cannot finish it, and you have to keep playing.
That's true. Even I keep learning, keep reading after all these years and hours too. Okay, people, so these are new formats, and we are coming to the end of the first episode of our Holistic SEO Community Success Series. I am glad that Luis Salazar Jurado actually came to the first one. And if you want to,
Thank you.
if you want to find him, he is in our community. If you want to be a client, you can apply to him. If you are lucky, I'm sure that he will be accepting you. With that said, see you in the next time. Thanks so much.
See you. Thank you.